Guys, welcome back to Rise and Grind. Happy Monday. And again, hopefully you guys are off to a good start over there. Megan, how was your weekend?
It was great, actually. How was yours?
Good. It wasn't bad. Relaxed, refreshing. I still just can't believe that we're still in month 2 of the new year. It's flying by already, and we're already off to the races here. So let's dive in. We have a lot of topics here today. I will let you kick us off today.
All right. Well, there were a few different Super Bowl ad trends that we saw this past weekend. The first being, we talked about this earlier in Rise and Grind last month, sweets and candy brands dominating. We saw a lot of candy brands buy up ad space for the first time, and they're really targeting younger consumers, which is pretty interesting. We also saw a rise in influencer marketing. There was a ton of TikTok influencers who made appearances in Super Bowl ad commercials. Again, a way to try to reach Gen Z, younger audiences.
Right.
It's funny how, when we were younger, we would see a lot of celebrities in Super Bowl ad commercials.
Only celebs.
And now they're your normal, they're every average person, but they're an influencer, which is pretty interesting.
When you think about it, it's interesting. Even looking at what Victoria's Secret was a couple years back, right?
Oh yeah.
Like it was only like really stick figure models, and now it's more, everybody's more realistic, curvy, whatever. So it's to your point. It's like the everyday person is now being put at the forefront.
Right.
And it's just the times that we're in. Actually, I was having a good conversation yesterday. With a consultant, and one of the things that that we're noticing is that in the market, how much of a shift is starting to take place when it comes to health and awareness on information, right? So like for the first time since 1999, beer is down 5% in sales.
I heard that,
and that's a huge deal. So since 1999, picture that. So. And the same thing goes to a lot of food and beverage businesses. We're seeing a lot of places in New York City, major cities, that are starting to take a little bit of a decrease because people are so much more health conscious now. I mean, this is our hypothesis, but like right now, so many people are looking at their health, so they're not drinking as much, or they're not eating as much bad foods, and they're not doing X, Y, Z. So it's really interesting to start to see that like what shifts are taking place in the market specifically because of all these health conscious people. So just playing it to what you were saying about how for Super Bowl ads or for all these major different ads that are happening right now, there's a lot more realistic type of people that are in them. Again, I remember the first time that we saw that one model, and I can't remember the damn name of the commercial or the lipstick or whatever, but the lady had like a huge gap in her teeth. And I remember being like, whoa, and that made a big statement. And the next thing you know, they had the one lady with the vitiligo, on her skin and stuff. And so they just keep bringing on people that like initially in the past you would have never made it through.
Right.
But that's the world that we live in, right? The Gen Zs, the millennials, all these different people, they want to see real people. They don't like brands that just put like flawless models. The new flawless is out. Like people don't don't look at flawless as like you're super skinny or you have no acne or you have like a perfect life or that's not what this market is looking for anymore. So it's so interesting. It played out, I think, well in the Super Bowl commercials. And additionally, like it's just again like right now the market is shifting. So as a business, right, whether you're in sales or whatever, you have to be on top of this market shift. What matters, and we talked about this last week, which is it's up, so you can look at it, on our previous content that we posted, for Rise and Grind. But talking about the generational gaps and like what they are, essentially what they care about, what they don't care about. The one thing that we're starting to realize is that it's not just a generational thing, right? Meaning like it's like Gen Z to the Generation X. Right now, we're kind of all in this together. So the Gen Xers, just as well as the Gen Zers, they love seeing like real people on TV too.
Yeah, you want to relate to what you're seeing, right?
But they grew up, and we grew up seeing, again, Victoria's Secret models being like twigs, right? And it was like that's the standard, right, of beauty, right? Whereas now, like conversations that I've had and just some of the case studies and focus groups that we've done is like Gen Xers all the way to Gen Zers love seeing the real stuff. So bottom line is that at the end of the day, the market's shifting. People are really health conscious. People are really, really on top of wanting to see real stuff. They care about the mission and passion behind brands. So when you are setting yourself up for success in 24 on, you have to keep that in mind.
Right.
So if you're a business in the food and beverage space, what are your health conscious things, right? Like there's so many things right now. And I want to give a big shout out to Gary Brecka specifically. He puts out he's such a thought leader when it comes to health. And for me in particular, I used to kind of be like a party animal, right? And I still, by the way, I still like to party, by the way. I'm going to be honest there. But it's like I've decreased like just my drinking as an example over like I would say close to like 70 to almost 80% where it was like a year or two ago, purely because you're learning the benefits and the causes and effects of when you're eating bad foods or when you're having alcohol or whatever. Right. So the biggest thing at the bottom line is at the end of the day, it's like more people have guys like Gary Brecka out there saying, don't eat pasta, gluten's so bad for you, don't do this, don't do that, and like making you aware of all these different products and what they do to you. And so the market has this information where like in the past, maybe people talked about it and they said things like, but you never saw it all over the internet or you didn't see it all over. It wasn't so available. It wasn't in like the newspapers every day, right? Back to that time or in the news, it was like spread out every now and again, but now it's always in our faces. So it's like, hey, if you're constantly drinking or if you're constantly eating bad stuff or you're constantly eating fast food, here's how it's killing you, right? So that's why overall we're seeing this decrease. So as a business, we have to think about those key components so that you can be set up. Because right now, food and bev has been taking a hit. Especially the liquor space has been taking a hit, which is interesting.
Yeah. Well, Gen Z is saying that it's not cool to really drink. They're actually finding that being sober is the cool thing to do. And I feel like that's a huge shift over the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, massive shift.
Where it was the thing to do to go out and have a drink at a bar with your friends. Now, they're all about self-care, and we're even seeing it down to Gen Alpha, who they're too young to even know what self-care is. And there is still a self-care trend going on, especially, I don't know if you're on the side of Instagram, but on the self-care side, it's a bunch of 12-year-olds with the pump moisturizers and trying to put in bronzing lotions, and they're trying to get into this self-care initiative. And Sephora and Ulta and all these beauty brands are really, really profiting from it, which is great. But to your point, there is a big health movement and a self-care movement happening right now.
There definitely is, and it's affecting businesses, right? So, and in some ways positively, like you just said, those brands, and other ways negatively, because people are not going out to eat as much, or people are not whatever. Like I'm in a men's accountability group, and we're talking about health things, business things, whatever else. And it's funny, like one of the guys in my group used to order DoorDash like 4 or 5 nights a week. And now because of like all the different things that they're seeing online and people like Gary Brecka, like they're not ordering out like pretty much at all. And they're losing all this weight and they feel healthier, they feel better.
That's amazing.
So it's a good thing, right? But it's like these brands have to start like figuring out how to adapt, right? Plug intended there, right? I mean, at one point, Rob literally had single-handedly kept Bud Light heavies flowing. Right now, oh wait, they're still flowing. He's still doing that. That didn't change. Wait a second. No, I'm just kidding. But bottom line is that that's a really big focus here. So like for this trend, and obviously we're going to be talking about this, for definitely the foreseeable future. But that is a massive trend right now, guys. People 100% are getting healthier because they have more information at their fingertips. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to be, right? So some people are watching this and be skeptics and say, no, not everybody's healthy. My neighbor is a fat ass, or this person, is whatever. This person doesn't care about their health. You know what? There's going to be those people. I'm not saying everybody's going health, but there is the biggest uptick in health that we've seen in a very long time in this country in particular. And so people are starting to take it very, very seriously. So again, as a brand, as somebody who is whether you're an influencer, whether you are somebody who has a business, whether you're in sales, whether you're a food and bev, whatever you have to do, if you're a consumer, if you're somebody who is building a product that a consumer is going to consume, like people are looking into this stuff. Literally one of the things too, like, speaking of different like brands, like I saw something that Liquid IV, the guy Gary Brecka was talking about how Liquid IV has something in it that like is like toxic.
What?
Yeah, and I don't know, I don't remember the thing, but I know Liquid IV is very dynamic, so like they jump right on these things. But like in this podcast, he was on Joe Rogan. I'll send you the podcast. If you guys haven't watched this, go to Joe Rogan's podcast with Gary Brecka, look that up. That is literally health freaking gold.
Wow.
Like gold. Like I literally listened to it like 3 or 4 times already. I've completely shifted diets, everything, and I've been 1,000 times better from listening to that. But over the past like 2 weeks. But the whole thing there is, bottom line is, like at the end of the day, like people are like looking into that, right? They're seeing these resources. So bottom line is, you have to think about how you can be more health conscious and focus on building your customer and your client to get to that point.
Yeah,
that's what matters right now. So health conscious and being there.
You know what's interesting though? I feel like it's all about transparency too. Like even with the Liquid IV comment that you just mentioned, like it's all about transparency. I feel like consumers with the being health conscious, you just want to know what you're consuming and like, is it good for me? Is it not good for me? Right. And a lot of content out there is about the transparency of ingredients or the transparency of pharmaceuticals or whatever it may be. And it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
So let's say you have $7 million to spend in ads.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all, right?
7 mil.
So let's say you have $7 million. You could either buy up a 30-second Super Bowl commercial space, or
7 mil?
For 7 mil, 30 seconds.
Wow, I thought it was at one point it was like a mil.
Yes, now it's this year, $7 million, some spaces, $7 million Super Bowl commercial space will get you 30 seconds at the Super Bowl. Or you can get 4.4 million clicks on Walmart Connect. The cost per click at $1.60.
Wait a sec, okay.
Yeah, so these are the display ads. If you're shopping on Walmart, I'm sure you've been there. You're shopping for certain products. You see banner ads or display ads in the corners of Walmart, right? You can get 4.4 million clicks compared to that 30-second Super Bowl ad commercial.
Yeah.
You could also get 2.8 million clicks on TikTok in-feed ads, or you could partner with 233 to 350 mega influencers for that budget.
Wow.
Yeah, so 2.8 million clicks on TikTok in-feed ads, or you can partner with 233 to 350 mega influencers. These are influencers who have 15 million plus followers that you could partner with.
That's massive.
Or we've been talking a lot about streaming, right?
Yeah.
Like connected TV. You could get 140 to 400 million impressions with connected TV, probably even more than that. So just $7 million. It's interesting because we did see a lot of new brands buy up commercial space this past year for the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Comes at a pretty penny, and is it worth it? A lot of brands are also just reconsidering where they're spending their ad budget lately because of the return on different platforms, and a lot of them are breaking up with Meta and trying to explore like Walmart Connect, TikTok in-feed ads, connected TV, or Super Bowl ad space. So I don't know, $7 million is a lot. I think for 30 seconds, I don't know how impactful that's going to be during a Super Bowl commercial. I get that you're reaching millions of households, but for 30 seconds, and think about it, at a Super Bowl party, I'm watching the commercials, but I'm also eating, I'm enjoying,
you're doing shit.
I'm talking, right? My attention isn't 100% at that TV.
Right.
So is it the best place to put your money? I don't know. I think that there's other platforms to explore.
Yeah, there definitely is. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's like those things, like, again, you have like 100 million people watching, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot. But again, you have to remember, now you got Swifties that are in there too, so there's a lot.
That's true.
Like I said last time, you have a bunch of people who attend. Like this past weekend at my house, there's probably 40 to 50% of people that were there were not fans of football.
Yeah.
Like, they're just there because they're hanging out, they're chilling, whatever. But it's like at the end of the day, like, people are throwing these ads out there because they're going to talk about it for that day, for probably a week after that, maybe 2 weeks after that, and then boom, you're done. But they want to be a part of that buzz. Whereas to your point, you have other vehicles, you have other options.
Yeah.
You can go in there, you can say, you can spend all that money on mega, influencers that will bring you way past the past week. So point is, obviously, most of these people spending the money have a huge budget and can probably do all of these. But it's a good way to look at it.
But then there's those smaller brands, right? Or your everyday brands who maybe don't have $7 million to spend on a Super Bowl commercial and don't feel bad about it either, because it is just a 30-second commercial, whereas you could get much more reach, much more impact on different platforms. So don't be afraid to explore the other platforms that aren't as mainstream. Totally.
Now, going from there, so one of the things, speaking of breaking up with Meta, right, a lot of people are feeling that way about Google as well. And a lot of platforms are looking at like, wow, like all the ad spends, like, and all the actual conversions and everything else, everything has been going up year over year. They're making it more hard to compete. They're making it more expensive to compete. to the point where a lot of advertisers are saying, hey, what else can we do, right? Now, for most businesses, that does not mean get out of the game, right? Because obviously, in order to be in it, you have to be in it to win it, right? But a lot more people are being forced to be creative. So one of the things that we did is we looked at the past 2023 and 2022 and looked at data, and most of the people that have had the most success, right, had a offering that they were giving away to loop people to get them in, right? Mm-hmm. And that helps on both sides. One, it helps with your ads, make your ads go to work. But on the other side of the component, it helps from a free perspective. So if people land on your website and you're giving away, whether it's a free guide for X or a free strategy or a free walkthrough, whatever it is that you offer, if you're dental, free cleaning, whatever it is, it typically got more people to the table from an organic perspective, and as well as got leads to close and get them in the door from a marketing perspective. So one of the things that's forcing marketers and brands to get more creative with is people know now everybody and their mother is advertising, right? So you have to stand out with a better offer, which we talk about, month over month here and week over week. But what we've seen be successful is giving something away for free, right? And I know for most businesses that's difficult. I don't want to give away free cleaning. I don't want to give away free X. I don't want to give away free strategies, whatever. And it has to be really creative because those are the things that are getting people to test it out. People are smart. They know they can do their due diligence. They can go check other people, check prices, do their research, and then make a decision. Whereas if you don't even have anything to offer beforehand, that little freemium, or you want to call it, or free trial, whatever it is, typically they're not even going to consider.
Right.
And so it's helping people close more deals and get more people interested, right? The thing is about in business is about sales, right? Get more sales in your pipeline. It's going to help you flow, help you do bigger things. Cash is the blood of all businesses, right? So at the end of the day, if you're not getting that pipeline, you need to offer something that's going to make people want to get out of bed and give you an opportunity. And typically right now, we're seeing over the past 2 years, something free, right? Which I know most people, if you're in a luxury brand, you're like, oh, I hate that, it devalues my brand. Guys, this is what is doing big things. Software companies, everything, every business that I've seen over this past, we've scoured close to 5 industries, about this, which is food and beverage, medical vertical, attorney vertical, and a few more. And a lot of these were giving something away for free in order to get somebody interested first and just to see who you are first. So think about how you can do that to drive that to the next level, because right now just making an offer, like the thing is that brands being like Apple has been a lot more difficult to achieve, right? Apple is Apple. They're going to charge. Mm-hmm. Their products are innovative. They've always been a premium brand. And people just have known it for so many decades that it's just everyone knows that's Apple, right? But it's harder for newer brands to establish that type of prestigiousness because people don't want to give it a shot yet. They want to. Apple's had decades and decades and decades to establish that brand. Where newer brands, it's difficult to do it without letting them try something first or giving them a little bit of a taste first. So that being said, over 2 years with the data, we're seeing giving something away is the best way to get somebody to be essentially interested in what you're offering. Mm-hmm. So consider that. I know, again, for us, I always talk about this with Adapting Social, but with Adapting Social, and I would even recommend anybody watching this, go to Adapting Social. You get a free strategy when you go on and look at, and submit on our website. So, that's a way for us to kind of get people to say, okay, well, how can I do X, Y, Z, or how can I better my digital footprint without having to pay somebody to do anything? Go right to the site. We give you that free audit. So.
Right.
Bottom line is you have to give something away in order to get people. That's what we've seen historically be the best way to get more business in the door.
Mm-hmm. Think about it this way. You wouldn't hire somebody if you didn't know the value they were going to provide to you, right? So you want to provide that value for your business to your audience for free.
Totally.
As much as you can for free.
But when you think about it,
give them the breadcrumbs.
And for people out there who are not advertising, right, and who are like, all right, I'm pulling my ads or whatever. For you people that are in that school right now, at the end of the day, picture it this way. If you're spending a couple $1,000s on ads, if you offer something premium that you're giving away for free, that's saving where your ad dollars would go, but to acquire new customers. So whatever that labor cost, mm-hmm. the getting all that together took, if you were spending it on Meta or Google, you now shift it to there because it's bringing people in the pipeline. So there's different ways to kind of look at it from different perspectives. But the bottom line is that is the most enticing way right now to get people to come in.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, the next trend we have is a new Instagram update. Very exciting, but now you're going to be able to preview your posts on your feed before you actually post it, which is really great.
Love that.
You get to see how it looks on the grid, which sometimes, maybe you choose the wrong thumbnail for a video, or you're posting something and it's going to look completely different from the post next to it. So it's a way to maintain brand integrity, but also maintain that brand presence across your platforms.
Yeah, it's huge. And one of the things I'll say is, at the end of the day, like, from even an agency perspective over the years, it's like when you're doing it, even as this like a singular brand, like when you get stuff ready to get posted, like a lot of times you're doing different things, right? So like most business owners who are doing it on their own, they'll be like, feeding their kids on the way out the door. Let me get this up real quick, post it. It looked good before they posted it, and then all of a sudden it's blurry, right? Or like they forgot to do X, like. But if you could see it and preview it first, it just gives you another quality assurance step, which is nice to view it beforehand. So I love that.
Especially because most posts are they're in portrait size, so they're a little bit bigger than that square box that Instagram offers on your feed. So a lot of times heads get cut off or part of the image gets cut off. So it's a great tool to use to plan your feed and make it look a little bit more professional and high end.
I always love an extra QA, so that's definitely a great thing.
Yep, definitely. All right.
So right now, though, the one thing I'll say on our last topic is just right now there's a lot of scrutiny happening in social media that we're seeing in Congress. Again, Zuckerberg has been getting shredded, absolutely shredded, for all this stuff happening right now with the child abuse that's being put on there and all this stuff that's happening through Meta and other platforms, right? Like child abuse. What's the other thing?
Drug use on Snapchat.
They're saying child abuse. Oh, sex trafficking. Drug use. There, a lot of the Congress is saying that, like right now, Snapchat, Meta, in some cases X, a lot of this stuff is happening through that because now it's these venues and avenues for people to communicate and to do these things, which is disgusting. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And Zuckerberg and a lot of these CEOs, are getting shredded right now because of it. And listen, and in most cases, rightfully so, right? At the end of the day, bad people will always find a way to make things happen, right? So whether it's on a platform or real life, like before the internet, they found a way, some way, right? So now the internet's here, obviously they're doing it in different ways. But to Congress's point, they're saying that's your job as the founders of these platforms to fix it and to make it regulated. And at the end of the day, that is their job, right? So like right now they're getting shredded for that. But I'm curious right now, if you are a parent or not a parent, what are your thoughts on all this that's happening right now in Congress? I would love to get some comments on it. It's good learning. And the one thing to keep in mind, like Meta is and even Google, they're making it harder and harder to target people. Through marketing, right? So that's the thing that's really, really like that to me. That's very annoying is that like they're making it so hard to target, and they're really getting stringent with like targeting parameters and stuff, but they're not stringent on those things, right?
Yeah, you would think that they would have like different firewalls up for those things for minors, right? Minors specifically, because that's what the big topic is around is like you're letting this happen to our children.
Yeah.
And you would think there should be.
Yeah.
Over the past, I'm trying to think like Facebook, like when I must have had my Facebook for 15 years, maybe even more than that.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I don't know if any of those restrictions really evolved over the years. Everything else has, to your point.
For advertising, it's always changing.
Advertising has. It's gotten way more difficult.
But from a user perspective, it really hasn't been. I mean, algorithms are always getting tougher and tougher, which goes back to, again, another thing is, which Meta is going to come to a point, and same thing with Google, where advertisers are going to, like, so many people are frustrated with Google and Meta that, and again, rightfully so, there's a gazillion people advertising the platform now. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's like, they have to do to stay competitive and change things up so that it's not just like one person's always just dominating, which I get. But everything's getting more expensive. Algorithms on Meta are always so anemic. And it's like these platforms are making it so hard for you to win on, which in some cases it's like, hey, kid, dust your shoulders off, get up and pick up your ball and keep playing. Like, so only the strong will survive. But at the end of the day, it's like they're making it really, really difficult. And even bigger brands that should be those kids like, hey, dust myself off, keep going. They're even like, hey, this is getting to be too much.
Right.
So again, curious, what are your thoughts? I'm curious to know, and comment in here, have you had some challenges with Meta? Have you had some challenges with Google? What have those challenges been? Definitely type that in there for us. But all right, guys, happy Monday. Again, let's get after it this week. We have a big week ahead. There's a lot of changes that are happening in the world. And stay tuned. Next week, we're going to talk about our 2024 brand and marketing playbook that we're going to be releasing exclusively on our Rise and Grind to everybody. So stay tuned. Have a good one, guys.